Привіт. I'm Chuck Linick, a Ukrainian-American baptized with the name Yaroslav, and that's also the name I use in the historical reenactment group, the Society for Creative Anachronism, where I'm known as Yaroslav the Persistent. And for decades, I've been doing research on Slavic mythology and folklore and history and customs, more or less to flesh out what I do in the society. And I decided to start putting together videos and putting these up on my YouTube channel in order to share the knowledge in case anyone wants to actually get into doing Eastern European stuff. So today's video is about, well, drinking, which is a favorite pastime of mine, and specifically talking about a couple of drinking vessels that are used in Ukraine and Russia, or were used in Ukraine and Russia, and certain things that go along with the drinking. The Kovsh is a traditional drinking vessel or ladle from Russia. It's got a huge advantage over a drinking horn. You can actually set it down while there's still something in it, which is a problem I always found with horns and why I finally got away from them. And the Kovsh is oval shaped. It's got a single handle. It has a flat bottom, so you can set it down. And it may be shaped like a boat. Some describe the Kovsh as shaped like a Norse longship. The shape tends to be a bit rounder, though. After all, you want to be able to drink out of it so you can get an impression of what one might have looked like based off of an illustration from a Russian fairy tale. But I'll use any excuse to use an Angus MacBride painting. This one's from Osprey's Armies of Medieval Russia, 750 to 1250. And I'm using the MacBride painting because he was so obsessive compulsive about details. He always cites his sources for each painting. If he can't cite a source, that detail usually gets hidden and he puts something in the way. Why I'm using it here? Take a look at the prow of the ship. There's a figurehead. Often the Kovsh resembles some type of waterfowl. So I have got a couple of these. One of them's definitely more boat-shaped. All right. Got my arms in it. Also got my knight's chain, which I think is kind of cool. Actually, I think it's very cool. And the other is definitely more bird-like. And this is representing my phoenix. And there's all kinds of details in here which I'd love to point out, but I won't. I got these from reenactor or Tien. I'm butchering your name, I'm so sorry. But I wanted to give a shout out. She merchants in the society. Originally, the Kovsh was made from wood. It was used to serve mead, to serve kvass, that's like rye beer. I like to call it bread beer. And there were specimens that have been excavated as early as the 10th century. And I've seen some account of, oh no, these are, several millennia old. I'm going to go with the 10th century figure. All right, they're made of wood. So I tried making a Kovsh from wood. How hard could it be? Hollow out a block of wood, right? Yeah, I found out. So that's why I decided to be a good capitalist and had other people make mine. Around the 14th century, the Kovsh began to be made out of metal. Although a lot were continued to be carved out of wood and frequently were painted with peasant motifs, because, hey, that's what peasants do. By the 17th century, the Kovsh stops really being a practical vessel, and it's often very ornamental. By the 19th century, very elaborately cast in precious metals for presentation as official gifts. And I know that's beyond our period, but I wanted to point something out here. The prow of this particular Kovsh features a charging group of bogatiri, the heroic medieval warriors who served Grand Prince Volodymyr Brightson in ancient Kiev. And those three figures at the front are probably intended to be Ilya Muromets, Alyosha Popovich, and Dobrynya Nikitich, the three most famous of the Bogatiri. Okay, that's going to bring us to the Bratina, which is another widespread form of the drinking vessel, and it had a real simple form, okay, but it could be really elaborately decorated, and there's a lot of examples of the really decorated ones. All right, it could also have a lid, and this was widely used in, royal families, noble families, and was an essential part of the feast day tableware. And its name comes from the word brat. Brat is brother. And at banquets, the bratina would be filled with kvass or mead. And if you start getting into the folk tales, they talk about green wine, which I have no idea what that is. And it's going to be passed from brother to brother. And after a toast and a sip, you then pass it on. And it was a fun thing to do at feasts, although my kingdom of Kai doesn't really do feasts that often. And a fun thing to do at wars. And I used to do it when I was paying the troops, when I was Captain General of Kaid. Oh, drink. And it's a custom that probably can't be done anymore, at least not in this era of COVID. Because I don't think we want to share, COVID. By the way, bratinas could also be used as memorial cups. A bratina would be filled with water sweetened with honey and placed on the tomb of the deceased. Toasting each other and praising each other gets us into another fine tradition, bragging. All right, in many of the folk tales that are set in the court in Kiev, the court of Prince Volodymyr Brightson or Volodymyr Redson, as the bogatiri and the wealthy merchants, I think they were the hosti, they were finishing feasting, dining upon roast swan and such like. Those guests in attendance were expected to boast of their possessions or their accomplishments. I have the finest sword, or mine is the best armor in all of Kiev, or I have the finest horse in the land. Oh yeah? My horse is so powerful that he can leap the mighty Dnipro River. This starts to sound like Henry V territory. I have the best armor in the world. You have excellent armor, but let my horse have its due. It is the best horse in Europe. There could also be boasts of strength, or perhaps praising the beauty of one's wife over the beauty of all other women, or the piety of one's mother. My mother goes to church so often she practically sleeps there. And if you're using the folk tales as an example, one was expected to engage in this type of boasting. There's a number of stories where Prince Volodymyr could become angry if one character or another sat silent, or if the boast went too far, which usually becomes the reason for the story happening. So that gets us back into Henry V territory, where the boasting is really intended as more of a put-down. My Lord Constable, the armor in your tent tonight, are those suns or stars on it? Stars, Montjoy. Some of them will fall tomorrow, I hope, and yet my sky shall not want. Hey, it's a way to pass the time. Sitting with friends at a war by a fire. and raising a glass, whether you're toasting each other or bragging about your own accomplishments. Until the next time, do pobачення.